Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to our podcast. My name's Adifa, and I'll be your host as well as your host today.
Cash and trade, we set it straight. Ink on top, that's worth the wait.
Today with us, we have Priya, who's an 11th grade student and an aspiring economist. Welcome, Priya. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm going good so far, unlike the India-US trade under Trump. Anyways, without any further ado, let's dive deep into our today's topic, India-US trade relations under Trump. Let's set the stage. By 2025, India and the United States had a long history of strong diplomatic ties and growing trade. But the tensions were mounting. New tariffs on steel, aluminium, and key exports pushed the relationship to a tipping point. Markets were bracing, exporters were worried, and the air was thick with uncertainty. Do you think India responded swiftly to that?
Absolutely. Retaliatory tariffs of 10% to 50% were imposed on US goods, from almonds and apples to motorcycle and steel. As one trade official said, we will not be pushed around in our own backyard. The message is clear. India is protecting its industries and sovereignty.
We have traced how our warm India-US trade relations are slowly heating up into a full-blown tariff tussle. But what does this shift actually mean for the India's economy?
Yeah, this shock is no small blip. It started in 2018 when Trump introduced a 25% tariff on steel and a 10% tariff on aluminium, with various countries including India. Then in 2025, President Trump introduced a 25% additional tax, followed by an additional 25% targeting India's continued imports on Russian oil. This brought the total tariff on Indian exports to the US to about 50%. India's chief economic advisor recently said that the new 50% US import tax could easily shave off 0.5% to 0.6% of our GDP. That's a real dent.
Right. So, what sectors do you think are severely affected by these tariffs?
These tariffs have threatened thousands of small exporters and jobs in India, particularly in PM Modi's hometown of Gujarat. There's sectors like apparel, textiles, and jewelry, which are more likely to face challenges due to the reduced demand in the US market.
So, as per my information, as exports drop, so do foreign earnings. That weakens our current account and puts an extra pressure on the rupee. In fact, the rupee has already been sliding, recently closing near 88 Indian rupees per US dollar, thanks to the rising equity outflows. Indian exports to the US have also dropped from 8 billion in July 2025 to about 6.86 billion in August 2025.
Exactly, and that's where the real trade-off kicks in. It's protecting the rupee, supporting the exporters, risk slowing growth, and you stretch the budget. There's no free lunch in economics.
Well put. And speaking of budgets, slower growth also means weaker tax revenues. If the government decides to step in with stimulus or bailouts, the fiscal deficit could widen.
Right, and for anyone listening who's not familiar with the term, the fiscal deficit is basically the gap between the government's earning and its spending. If expenses shoot up, say for supporting exporters during a trade shock, that gap widens and the government has to borrow more.
So clearly, the ripple effect goes way beyond trade. But I hope it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, challenge often brings opportunity. India can use this moment to diversify exports, deepen regional trade ties, invest in domestic supply chains, and keep policy signals stable to calm investors. And as economist Kaushik Basu says, India should not fall into Trump's tariff trap, meaning we should react calmly and play it smart and not react rashly.
Right. So, now that we have talked about all of these opportunities, I personally feel that there is also a negative side to all of this. Can you dig into a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Tariffs hit exporters hard. Sectors like textiles, gems, leather, and seafood, they rely heavily on the US market. The tariffs make their goods expensive abroad, shrinking their sales, hurting profits, and potentially causing job losses.
Less export revenue weakens the current account, pressures the rupee, and increases import cost. So that is basically a chain reaction.
Yeah, and on the fiscal side, government support through subsidies or stimulus widens the fiscal deficit, leaving less for healthcare, education, and infrastructure.
And what about the visa restrictions? How do they hurt students and talents?
Visa restrictions, they create uncertainty. You know the new HB1 visa? It costs $100,000. It's basically telling the students, oh yeah, we love your talent, just not in our country.
So, in short, tariffs and visa restrictions may protect domestic jobs in short term or create opportunities, but they also risk slower growth, wider fiscal gaps, and disrupted career paths.
Yeah, and students at this point are tired of feeling they're not wanted as immigrants. They're willing to move to Canada or Europe where they think they might be wanted. That's the human side, the stress, the broken dreams, and the lost opportunities.
Tariff taxes goods, visas taxes talent, and alas, the economy feels both. Now, let's move a little further and talk about the strategic and investment side of the story. We have seen that while the significant friction in goods trades, other economic channels have remained quite resilient. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. The key point is that the capital flows are less sensitive to short-term trade tariffs compared to goods trades. So although Trump-era tariffs affected a lot of sectors, there were sectors like tech, energy, and defense that weren't much affected.
Even though the tariff situation wasn't ideal for India, there were some positives.
Yeah, one major positive is that India continued high-value imports, such as the Apache helicopters, the Poseidon aircraft, and drones. This is significant because it not only strengthens India's defense capabilities, but it also supports US's defense industries, which is sustaining jobs and R&D activity.
So according to you, this isn't just an economic story. Do you think there could have been a strategic reason behind all of this?
Absolutely. These defense deals, they have geopolitical objectives. The US sees India as a counterweight to China, so some economic friction is tolerated in favor of strategic gains. In other words, trade conflicts didn't lead to an investment collapse or decoupling.
So what we know is that while tariffs create challenges, they don't completely disrupt investment and strategic cooperation.
Exactly. Trade wars hurt goods trade in the short term, but long-term strategic partnerships, investment flows, and services trade remain resilient, especially when geopolitical interests are at play.
Right. And what about India's trade with the US, especially under the Trump era tariffs? How did these trade tariffs affect India's exports?
Well, Trump's tariffs targeted Indian goods like steel, aluminium, and some manufactured products. This led to a drop in exports to the US, shrinking the positive balance India previously had with the US. Basically, India earned less exports and many sectors took a real hit.
So it sounds like the tariffs were bad news for trade. Then why did the US implement them?
Basically, Trump's idea was short-term protectionism. US producers like steel and aluminium companies, they got shielded and got cheaper Indian imports, but there were many other sectors that relied on these, like jewelry makers, IT service companies, and pharma firms, and they had to pay up more. So while a few of their jobs were protected, overall costs went up and competitiveness dropped.
That sounds like a trade-off. Due to these tariffs, Indian IT companies did face margin pressure. There wasn't much direct impact on the IT sector, yet we started diversifying beyond the US to stay resilient. Was there more economic damage beyond that?
Yes, there was definitely a lot more economic damage. Us economists call it deadweight loss. These tariffs create a lot of inefficiencies, like the consumer having to pay more, domestic producers overproduce, and that too inefficiently. And one of the greatest inefficiencies is that the exports shrink. Ultimately, neither side wins. These tariffs create lost opportunities and higher costs for everyone involved.
Interesting. So, does this impact all of the products equally?
Not really. It depends on elasticity. For price-sensitive goods like steel or aluminium, the tariffs reduce imports a lot. But for inelastic goods like high-end IT services or defense components, the demand barely drops even with higher prices. So some Indian exports continue despite tariffs. This highlights the multidimensional nature of bilateral economic relations. Even under trade tensions, some sectors continue to thrive.
But another thing pops up in my mind. It's Mission 500. It was supposed to raise the US-India bilateral trade to about $500 billion by 2030. But keeping in mind the tariffs introduced by Trump, this seems to have slowed down. What are your comments on that?
Honestly, I think Mission 500 is a wonderful plan. It's a win-win for both the countries, but keeping in mind the existing tariffs and the protectionist policies that Trump has put out, This has slowed down trade, and it is a possibility we might not reach our target. It's almost like Mission 500 has turned into Mission Almost 500.
Now, do you think there could be sectoral concentration risk in all of this?
Yes, there is a high possibility, since this plan has its major dependency on India's IT pharma services and US's tech, agriculture, and defense. So if global demand drops in these areas or there's technological disruption, trade growth could stall.
What other factors do you think can affect this plan and slow down the trade?
What I think can affect this are the infrastructure and supply chain constraints and environmental and social concerns. Rapid trade expansions may lead to overexploitation of resources. There's higher carbon emissions, and there must be labor pressures in certain industries, which could lead to domestic pushback. And logically, to reach $500 billion, we need massive scaling on logistics, ports, and supply chains. And delays, inefficiencies, and high transportation costs could easily eat up into the profit margins and slow trade expansion.
That is all incredibly true. These negatives could very easily slow or distort the intended benefits of reaching Mission 500. And who knows, maybe next time we'll be talking about Mission 600 if things pick up. Now, everyone talks about the trade wars and the tariffs, but what do they really mean for people like you and me?
That's a great question. These tariffs, they don't just affect big companies. They trickle down to everyday prices. For example, when steel or aluminium tariffs hit, it can make cars, appliances, or even packaged foods more expensive.
So, even if I don't work in trade or manufacture it, I still will feel it?
Exactly. Take smartphones or electronics that rely on imported components. Higher tariffs on parts mean companies pass some cost to consumers. Suddenly, that new iPhone or that new laptop you wanted would cost more.
That's very interesting. Does this work the other way too? Can tariffs ever benefit the consumers?
Only indirectly and mostly in the short term. You won't even feel it. Tariffs are supposed to protect domestic jobs. So in theory, keeping a steel mill running supports local employment. But while trade-off is for higher prices and fewer choices for consumers, often the benefit is limited while the cost is widespread.
And I assume some goods hit harder than the others.
Of course, commodities and mass-produced goods are more sensitive because they're elastic. Luxury items or niche services like IT outsourcing are much less affected because demand is inelastic. People will pay more for what they really need and want.
So, what's the bigger picture takeaway from all of this?
What I think is the bigger picture takeaway is that tariffs are like double-edged swords. They may protect some jobs and industries, but they raise costs for almost everyone else. And they can slow economic growth if prolonged. It's why as economists usually call it that trade wars are blunt tools for complex problems.
India and the US had some trade frictions, especially with the Trump's tariffs. But I hear India isn't putting all its eggs in one basket. What's happening?
That's right. When the US market got tricky, India started looking elsewhere. There's Europe, there's Southeast Asia and Middle East, basically anywhere else except US. Basically spreading trade around to reduce risk.
So it's like a backup plan then?
Exactly. If one market slows down or slaps on tariffs, other markets pick up the slack. It keeps India's exports steady and less vulnerable.
Which sectors benefits the most from all of this?
IT sectors, software, pharma, textiles and agriculture. These aren't just sold to the US. They have buyers all around the world. Diversifying markets make trades safer and smarter.
So, are there any bigger benefits of?
Totally. Diversification can boost overall trade, create jobs, attract investments, and strengthen India's position in global markets. It's a lesson in thinking globally, not just bilaterally.
So, in a way, US tariffs nudged India to be more resilient?
Exactly. Sometimes challenges push you to strategize smarter, like with India and US. By trading with multiple regions, India is safer, stronger, and ready to push for whatever's connecting.
Sounds like a pro trip for countries, and maybe for life too. And that's a wrap on today's deep dive into the India-US trade, where friendship meets friction. Tariff sparks headlines, and every move sends ripples across the globe. Remember, in the world of trade, it's not just about numbers, it's about strategy, timing, and knowing when to hold your ground. So keep your eyes on the markets, your ears on deals, and your minds on the bigger picture. Until next time, this is Adifa reminding you, trade winds change fast. Stay sharp, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a single tariff. Thank you.